I said that exactly 30 days from now, we're recording this on Tuesday, September 10th, is going to be October 10th. And today, Tesla released this confirmation that the actual event is on 10/10. It's going to be in Los Angeles. And if you go to ir.tesla.com, you can submit your kind of shares that you own in Tesla, if you're a shareholder platform, and you can get lotteries to get invited to this event. So I guess the question I have for
Finally,
it's
finally, Herbert brings up the most important topic. I
I
don't
got
understand. What are we talking about here?
okay, you're right. You're right. It's 30 days. This is the critical point when maybe we'll see. I'll ask you that, Xander, if we're going to start seeing the stock pop up. Nicholas Gibbs reminded me that the last time the stock jumped, it was 30 days before 8.8. That's when it started to go up. But I guess the question I've got to folks here is that if they on 10/10, when they do the Robotaxi and they share a lot of course, it's going to be the Robotaxi vehicle unveil, it's probably the Robotaxi program. But what if they did release and share more information about these lower cost affordable models? That could be the 1-2 punch. That could be the first punch, which is we're not the auto company. We're now about to get the second wave of the more affordable vehicle. It's coming, it's here. And then we've got autonomy, and it's coming and it's here. Who here thinks that they're going to share information about the new vehicles? I think in the last time we spoke, Jeff, you thought that was the case. I was still not thinking that they would do this, that they would show new vehicles at this, but I
Well, if the
have to,
event was
yeah.
later, if the event was later in the year, I would think it was almost certainty they would. The problem with doing it now is if you're a prospective Model 3 or Model Y, what Tesla's trying to do at this tier is produce a vehicle that's probably as good as or better than an existing 3 or Y. I mean, there's going to be some trade-offs, I'm sure, maybe in size or other things, but in general, they're trying to, they're trying to make a better product. And so if you're a prospective 3 or Y buyer now and you know something else is coming in 6 months, you may wait. Especially rates are going to come down in 6 months too. So it'd be the ultimate Osborne to, show these vehicles and say, you'll see you in a couple of months. Now, if we're taking orders and, we're starting production at the end of the year for delivery in the first quarter, then maybe that's a different conversation. But I don't know why you would show those vehicles unless they're inside of a lead time window to gauge orders and figure out how much material they have to order. I don't know why they would uh,
But Jeff,
do that.
but Jeff, why? Like, is the consumer that dumb that they see this vehicle without a steering wheel and pedals, and they can't like infer that you'll be able to someday buy this same vehicle but with pedals and steering wheel that is, steer by wire, brake by wire, everything by wire, and it's fully modular, and I just don't get it.
Oh, let me answer that. Let me answer that. Yes.
And before we go to the hand, I
Well,
wanted to say, Simon, it's so refreshing, and I know your biased opinion. You have you're managing shares, and you want it to go up, but it's so refreshing to have someone analyzing and actually seeing the big picture. And then when you comment about other analysts like Deutsche coming through, it's really good to hear. I appreciate it. Thank you for being a part of the community.
Yeah,
That
absolutely. It's
Go
not,
ahead, Jeff.
Xander, it's not consumers are dumb. It's just, it, unless Tesla's pulling something in dramatically, I don't think the hardware robo taxis are going to be available for about a year. And that's just their prior timelines have been, production in the middle of next year and maybe some deliveries by the end of 25. So why? So this is,
let me give you some perspective. Just
yeah.
sorry to cut you off, Jeff. So my experience, and I work with a few hundred retail clients, but it's interesting because we every time somebody calls and says, "Hey, I'm going to buy a new car, and should I finance it or should I just pay cash?" I try and sell them a Tesla, and then my office laughs and says, "You're just a Tesla salesperson in there." Um, but all that aside, I went through when the Model 3 was coming out. I was aware of it but we never actually. They were showed like some sneak peeks, not even sneak peeks. Somebody stole a shot where they took the sheet off. We all remember that. And so I would talk to clients who were about to buy a Tesla, their first Tesla, and they would say, "Well, I'm thinking of buying." I'd say, "Well, there's a new one coming, but." And they're like, "Well, I need a car now. My other car is breaking down, or I'm ready to change cars." So, most people buying cars are just thinking, well, I need a car now. Now's the time. They're in that buying mode, and it's what's available in the market like over the next, 2, 3 months. Most are not going. The Tesla community, which I've spoken with, they'll say, I'm waiting for the new Model Y. I've had two of them. I've had this, and they know what's coming, and they're going to sit around and wait. But I would say that's a small percentage. If I were just to throw a number out there, maybe it's 10%. So back to Jeff's point is you don't present something in the media that's going to get published. The Tesla community can speculate all they want. Everybody's talking about in the Tesla community about new Model Y, but it has not been presented yet. So the average consumer has no idea. I talk to people all the time that are looking at Model Ys, and I don't dare tell them that, well, if you wait till next year, you're going to get a revamped one, and it's going to kick ass way better than the one you're looking at. But people that own in this community will actually look at or understand what's coming, and they're so dialed in, they say, "Hey, I'll just wait." So I think back to Jeff's point is I don't think that they would actually announce the new vehicle, and people aren't going to put two and two together and say, "Well, that's a Robotaxi. That means that there's going to be a lower cost version coming. I'll wait before buying a Model 3."
I'd like to jump in here, and I'm going to respond to what Jeff said, but really just answering Herbert's question, which Jeff originally answered, and that is, how many vehicles or what kind of vehicles do you guys expect at 1010? At the moment, I believe they're going to show 3 vehicles, but I expect them all to be based on the new platform, and they're going to focus on the new platform, and I think they'll all be cybercabs. I think they'll give some kind of reference to the $25,000 vehicle by whatever name, but I don't think they're going to really promote it or talk a lot about it until they're ready to take orders and not too far from delivery, hopefully like 30 days to 90 days away from delivery. And part of it is because of the Osborne effect. I think it does matter because Tesla's biggest salespeople are Tesla owners. And if Tesla owners are thinking in the back of their head, oh, well, actually, this other car would be better for you, wait 6 months, wait whatever, that's going to slow down the Tesla owners promoting people to go out right now and buy a used car or take advantage of these awesome state rebates or whatever. So those are my thoughts on your question, Herbert.
Yeah, thank you. I actually agree with you completely. I'm one who never thought that there would be the low cost affordable vehicles unveiled at this event. But other kinds of robo-taxis, multiple versions of it, that makes a lot of sense. Go ahead, Sat.
Yeah, I think that part of what Xander was saying also is like you can infer the technology. It's almost like a movie that's made like a decade later, but the setting is like a prequel of the other movie. So it's kind of like you have the Cybercab is going to be a smaller vehicle in some form, and it's supposed to be cheaper to some degree, and it's kind of related to the compact car, so it can't be having all the bells and whistles as the Model S. But when the Model 3 came out, the first aesthetic of the hardware that you can notice as a consumer was the HVAC system, where it was basically using like the fanless thing. It didn't have any vents. It just had one line across the dashboard, and then it had a horizontal screen rather than a vertical one. So you can tell that the new technology is coming, and probably it's going to come sometime in the future with the other vehicles, including the Model S and X, which eventually did with the refresh. So I think that when you see this unveil, it's going to infer certain technologies, even from the Cybertruck. Maybe it's 48 volt. Who knows, right? It's steer by wire. So there's a lot of things that can be inferred in it. Maybe not all of it makes it in that we already know about, but something's going to be in there that's going to be newer than what the other vehicles may not have. And that's going to be the next set of technologies that we could look forward to. And then the other thing I want to address about buying the car and then the innovation part of continuous Kaizen that Elon does, he does a different version of it. He does it even a faster version. When Model S first came out and it was in volume production, and someone asked them about the changes because they were doing the same thing. Okay, I'm gonna wait until the better version comes out. Well, even the Model S, on average, are making 12 modifications or improvements every single week. So if you wait, you'll never get the car because it's going to be better every single week. So it's whether when you need a car by, and if you can wait or not. It depends on the situation. If you can wait forever, then just wait for whenever the new model may come out or may not come out. But if you need a car right now, your car is breaking down, then you're not going to be waiting for that. So and in getting the best vehicle of Tesla, it's relative to your situation, but they always improve it. Even the 6 month range is different. You don't see it necessarily because you see the internal part. I'm sure Jeff can talk all about it, but like internals, they always improve it too. So I don't recommend waiting unless you have a situation when you can do it. So I think it's more like when do you actually need a vehicle.
So, like I've already said, I don't believe that there's going to be the more affordable vehicles, but I disagree with some of the comments earlier where that it could actually have an Osborne effect. The reason is that these more affordable vehicles is a completely different segmentation than the Model 3. If they did it right and have a complete different segmentation, there's going to be very little Osborne effect. The people who want the Model 3, by the time you see this more affordable, vehicle, it's going to be, bare bones inside. It's going to, whatever. There's going to be a lot of things that are going to make it so that it's more affordable. And so that should not be a Osborne effect for that. But again, I don't expect them to do it here, but a lot of people are. A lot of people do. So what's going to happen to the stock in the next 30 days? Xander, you followed what happened to Tesla stock. It popped, I was told, 30 days before 8.8 when the expectation of 8.8. Now they're telling me that this is what's going to happen again. And I'm going, well, it popped and then the stock fell because it was delayed. Why would the excitement come again when it's already been kind of, already, my mind built in that 1010 is coming? Do you think excitement might come and make the stock jump? I mean, this is overlaid on top of the election and the price rate cuts. Maybe. What do you think?
Yeah, let me shake my crystal ball. All signs point to yes, but I have no idea. Here's what I've been looking for. I've been looking for the announcement of 1010 to become official. We just got that. We saw the stock have a giant red candle down to 210 area, and market went bearish. And you would think on Monday, you would think that you would have continuation, and bears would buy puts and push it down further. That's not what we're seeing. We have some serious events happening. Tonight with the debate, and tomorrow we get CPI, and we got to see what kind of rate cut we get. Are we going into a recession? You listen to people like Tom Lee, and he doesn't think so. So in yesterday's video, that's exactly what the statement that he made is that recession doesn't appear to be what's coming. And if the market is feeling good, what we saw, going into 8.8 with that 30-day prior that you mentioned, you saw a market that gave you a sneak peek of how it's feeling about Tesla. So, 270, 250, all on the table. 300, perhaps. I'm not that bullish. So I've just continued to be chopping the tree. But with that said, you have a market that is saying, like today's close going into the end from 219 to 226 back to high of day was very bullish, right? You could look at order flow. You could see someone bought 500 strike, $1 million worth for September of 2025. Now, does that imply that they're going to, hold on to it and think that it's actually going to go to 500? Probably not. But it's good to have a perspective of, is it possible? Yes, but we are dealing with 6 weeks, 6 more weeks of uncertainty, and the market may correct further. But am I personally, am I out? My father asked me, should I try to sell all my shares and wait for a dip down to 200? And I said, absolutely. This is to him, not to you guys. Uh, I said, absolutely not. I think timing in this like short little window is foolish. And really, you need to have a long-term perspective. We're not here for $20. We're here for, $500 move up because, Robotaxi and FSD and software as a service starts delivering where the analysts haven't modeled that in. If you have robo-taxis that start delivering revenue, or you have robots that start delivering revenue, nobody has been able to model that. You're just literally a monkey throwing darts in that regard. So I think that is the zoomed out version of, for long term, I'm not trying to time the market. For short term, I'll be buying some calls in the more like leaps. Not financial advice. I'm a monkey throwing darts. Go ahead, Jeff. Fix it.
If I can comment, Xander, like I love your perspective on the short-term movement. I'm horrible at that. Whenever we buy a company after doing the fundamental analysis and we're buying for, where a company is going over the next 5 to 10 years, it usually goes down. So don't listen to our short-term views. But I appreciate people in the space, and Xander, when you talk about, the technicals on things, it's pretty good, and I'm having fun with it. I don't do it with clients' accounts, but I on a side account I do a few option trades, and maybe 50% of the time, or 55 I get it right, and 45 I get it wrong, but it's better than going to the casino. What I wanted to just comment on was Herbert, your your question is, how do we think it's going to trade? So I can't say how I think it's going to trade. I think Xander gives better perspective on the short term in terms of the technicals. But one trend that we've been seeing, and my brother, who's partnered with me, and we manage money for a few wealthy families in Canada. We've seen this trend of going into an event, and we've all heard this. You basically buy the rumor, sell the news. But we've actually been witnessing it recently, and my brother's been having fun, trading on options on this, just in a side account, and we're watching this. So you go into 8.8, and the stock trades up, and then it sort of trades down, and then you see money rotating out of Tesla and moving into what's the next best thing. And you saw this run up into Nvidia, into their earnings, and then after their earnings, the stock falls. And then you see this, money piling into Apple into their event, and then they come into their event, and the stock sells off. None of these, in my opinion, have been fundamentally based. There's a lot of people out there using the stock market as a casino, and they're just doing these short-term trades. And now and even our chief strategist is saying, hey, running into 1010, you're going to see Tesla rally. This is a good time to get into it. So short term, I actually do think that the Tesla stock, from what we're seeing in the market is weak. Tesla is strong. It's like Tesla wants to go up, and the market wants to rip things down, and Tesla's just defying the overall movement of the market, which I've been doing this for a few years, and that's pretty rare. We're seeing, I had a covered call on my own position today on a very small, maybe 10% of my position. I said, oh, it's September. I hate September, October. 9 out of 10 years, markets go down, and you get the big correction every year in September. And so I wrote a covered call on Tesla on like 10% of my long stock position. And after watching the movement the last week, I said, get this thing off. I do not want to have any, I don't want to have any calls or covered calls on my Tesla stock, because this thing can really rally. I mean, we get down days in the market. So back to your comment, Herbert. My opinion, not financial advice, is that this thing could rally and then you have the event. Doesn't matter what they show. From my, if I look back in my experience, usually a stock goes off, or nobody seems to understand how amazing and spectacular what Tesla presented is. Most people in the space will be like, holy crap, they've done this, they've done that. And then what you'll see happening as they execute, the market and Wall Street will start waking up. So stock sells off a bit after the announcement. Give it a month or so, and then you start seeing it rally into as they execute. That's just kind of my sort of take on where I think things will go with the stock in the next month or two.
Thank you, Simon. All right. So, you were joking a little bit earlier, Xander, saying, the most important topic is the 10-10 event. How come I waited? Well, there are a couple things that happened that is new that we didn't know before just a few days ago about the Robotaxi event, right? The first is they announced today, Tuesday, September 10th, that it is going to be in LA. It will be in at 10:10. So they've announced that. And then the other thing that happened in the weekend was there was these 4 patents on wireless charging, Matt, for vehicles that came out. And these patents were published yesterday, or sorry, September 6th, but it was filed earlier this year. So they were just published. And then also another patent on unboxed model. And so, some people will say these are just patents. They mean nothing. It was just coincidence. But I think, Jeff, you said in the show that we did, you said that actually it might mean something that these were published now, or the timing wise.
Well, I mean, there's a process, you file and you go through this process of getting various levels of approval till it's, fully approved and out there. And what you do during that process is you're trying to align that to various milestones so you have your intellectual property protected prior to the point where you have to reveal it. And or prior to the point where you have to use it and put it in production, and then it's out there for anyone to analyze. So sometimes, not saying this time, but many times, you try to get these ducks in a row and get this out there, prior to you having to go into more detail, whether it's an unveiling, whether it's a design review with a supplier or partner, or it's a reveal for a big customer meeting. You want to have yourself protected. So I did find the timing a bit interesting, and to me, it just, again, it's my opinion that they're trying to have all this aligned, prior to the 10-10 event, and prior to maybe some, any kind of deals that they would be working on, in the space. So it's a logical conclusion. It's one conclusion. There could be other things that are happening, but that's the way I see it.
Sat, were you going to say something?
I forgot what it was going to say. So you can
Well,
just pass
I
it.
do want to go back to one thing, and Sad, if you think about it, just put your hand up, and we'll get back to you. There's one thing the market may be realizing, and you've seen some of the relative performance. Again, I am not someone who prognosticates on the stock, gives short-term advice, gives long-term advice. I don't do that because each individual person has their own time horizon, has their own individual situation, has their own risk tolerance. So you can't say buy here, sell here. It's, you have to know that as a advisor, that person, kind of like how Simon manages his clients. But one thing that we've been talking about probably for the past year is, what is the path to AI investment, to actually productizing it and reaping the benefits of it. And if you've been bullish on this name, what you've heard is that Tesla has a real product. Tesla has something that will change consumers' lives, that will change the business model of vehicle purchases, the auto industry, of the ride sharing industry, of robotics. And what you're also seeing is a realization over the past year that other companies are struggling to get from silicon investment to a real product that people are buying in mass and is saying is very good in changing their lives. Now, you could say that the language, ChatGPT, Claude, all the different language models, Meta's Llama solution, that they are having a real impact, but it's somewhat limited. Some of these things are you can get for free now. So the business model, some are tying it to ads. It's not clear what the actual business model is in that space. It's arguable. But what isn't arguable is Tesla continues to advance and converge upon, what their business model will be, which is, getting to the super intelligence, whether it's robots on wheels or whether it's robots that are bipedal, that are doing useful tasks in factories, starting in the commercial setting and then eventually going, to the non-commercial setting. It's clear that they are continuing to march forward to that goal, and it's clear as these FSD releases that are not perfect, but they are becoming less imperfect, and they are, people can tell that they're getting meaningfully better. You can't, even if you're a bear, you can't sit here and say that what you were driving a year ago versus what you're driving today isn't meaningfully better. It is. And that kind of progress, uh, if I were to summarize it, it looks like Tesla has a path to go from go from AI silicon investment to a real product that consumers can buy in mass, and then not only that they can buy, but it actually changes the entire business that they're in. It's a new business model, and it's revolutionary. So I think the market may be starting, even with all the anti-Tesla rhetoric, all the anti-Elon rhetoric, the market's maybe starting to wake up to that. We'll see.
Okay. Sat?
Yeah, I remember what I was going to say. I was picking up on what Simon was saying. Typically, a lot of these major events unveils, there's a lot of uncertainty, but there's also that certainty maybe that whatever they're going to announce can be actually materially impactful, but you don't know which one. So people would buy up to that point, and then after the announcement, if it's like Battery Day or Investor Day, it's like a huge plan or some huge investment, then people are like, oh, okay, it's not going to be anytime soon. And then the sell off usually happens because half of it, they don't understand it. But even the one thing that Jeff was mentioning, like this unveil could show a ride sharing app. And that's a completely different platform that wasn't there before. So the business model that Tesla had of just selling cars and just having FSD, now you're going to have another one possibly. I mean, they will. So there's a photo of the app. So having that as another business platform that they're adding to a bunch of other products and services under Tesla means that they're expanding their business. So I don't know how you can't be excited about it, even in the short term, at least until the unveil, and then people can see, oh, depending on the timing or what the material that's unveiled, they'll make a judgment on it. But all the times, I would expect it to go down afterwards. But this time, I know for sure they're unveiling a business model that wasn't there, that's being added on to the whole bunch of stuff that Tesla does, from Tesla Energy and FSD and Dojo and so forth. So that's I think a major difference between the other unveils. Like I'm pretty sure they're going to show another platform, and that's significant.
And Xander, are you going to comment on that?
Yeah, I want to say that like this is the important part of the bullish thesis, that you have something that may be announced that isn't modeled, right? And what kind of like, it's absolutely correct. Buy the rumors, sell the news is what we're told. But this company is about to announce something that we don't even know the TAM of it. We can speculate what the TAM is. We could listen to ARK Invest, but if they announce something that a Wall Street analyst can model, and it just comes down to expectations, right? What is the kind of the maximum expectations going into the event? Okay, whatever people think it is, so I'm kind of keeping an ear out on analysts and the community and bears and all of that stuff. But then if they deliver something that exceeds those expectations, that's where we might have a dislocation. Going into this week, I didn't put out the tweet, I deleted it, but I was saying that like Tesla feels disconnected
the market moved down, Tesla's kept its price. Of course, Monday changed that, but that's the options market that I think influenced it. Simon, you were going to say something?
No, I was going to say, like, you're absolutely right, and there's something, Sandra, you guys were mentioning that if they can help Wall Street connect the dots, and it was the first time I saw in I don't know how long or ever. I got a 2-year-old running at me. The first time when they published a note at Tesla AI and basically said, hey, here's the roadmap that over the next 2 months. And then one or two of the firms picked up on it and ran it in the mainstream media. The stock rallied that day. And it's like, I don't know, I got this sense in the broker world that all you need to do was publish and connect the dots or help Wall Street connect the dots. And they go, aha. So back to Sat's comment and Xander's comment was that if my view is that there could be a difference between this rollout and other rollouts, that usually it goes down because everybody gets hyped up for the event. Analysts are there, they're watching, they go, oh, it's pretty far, we can't model that. It's like 2-3 years out or 5 years out. But if they come out and they lay out a roadmap for the Robotaxi and say, here's our roadmap, we think we can do this within the next 12 months, we think we can roll it out in X amount of regions in such amount of time, that would be the game changer. That would move the stock in the right direction after the announcement, if they could illustrate and draw that roadmap for Wall Street, something they could model for the next 2 years.
And people probably just won't believe it anyways. They can say whatever they want. They won't believe it. It's just a demo, means nothing. It's Elon talking. So yeah, what about the other way, right? So here we're talking about if they could surprise. What if they underwhelm? What is it that they could do that maybe doesn't surprise anybody? And like you guys were saying, it's so built up so much, the world's going to change on 10/10. What if it doesn't? What could they do that could just underwhelm everybody?
Well, I mean, that's a realistic expectation. I mean, half or more than half the time, uh, it's not so much the the technology behind it. It's actually how it's unveiled, and they've underwhelmed before. Um, so that has happened. That's a realistic expectation. But I do think one thing it's starting to become a bit binary is, is Tesla going to get, and I know there's disagreement on this, and it's totally fine. I think both sides of the opinion have great merit. But if Tesla starts getting into supervised ride sharing early, you just saw, I think what you've seen over the last several months is this tightrope that Uber and Tesla have been walking. I don't believe it was a coincidence. My personal opinion. Everybody else can go whatever themselves. I don't believe it was. I don't believe it was a coincidence that BYD and Uber announced that partnership within a week of the original 8.8 event. I believe they really started cooking that, in the springtime, maybe earlier, as Tesla started, mentioning and even, putting out the 8.8 date for Robotaxi. And Tesla started, if you remember on their Q4 earnings call, they started talking about, you know, the eventual robo-taxi and so forth. So I just think these two have been walking a tightrope the whole time, not so much Tesla, but Uber, and getting all these partnerships and trying to line it up. It's almost like they're trying to line up deal leverage for an eventual, partnership that they're going to have to do with Tesla, because if they can't get to autonomy through another route, and autonomy gets you the lowest cost per ride, the lowest, per mile cost per ride, and they're going to have to partner with Tesla at some point. Well, they're going to need some sort of leverage from somewhere. So it's just interesting. And now you saw today the announcement that Uber drivers can now send their ride information directly into to the Tesla vehicle, and it can appear now in the Tesla vehicle. So that's a little bit of deeper integration. Obviously, both sides had to open up information that can be part of a deal construct as well. So this is going to be interesting to see what they announce. Could they announce something on 1010 that is a partnership, that is a gigantic partnership with Uber, or is it in direct competition with Uber, what they announce, which is, a Tesla, a primary Tesla network. But I think it would, this could be, it's an entire show, but it's going to be to the advantage of both of them to be able to increase the utilization of their fleet. And when you're starting out like Tesla's starting out, from a cost perspective, it's going to be prohibitive to be, massively underutilized. So anyway, it's just going to be interesting to see what happens. We saw today's announcement, and then what happens on 1010. And does Tesla? And I think this is the binary event: is do they announce the Tesla network and some form of ride sharing that starts?
Okay. I still take the other side, Jeff, as you know.
Yeah,
I
that's
don't
fine. Yeah.
think that there's going to be a Uber relationship. In fact, I would say that the movement that you've been seeing with Uber, almost every single week, they're making some sort of announcement with some partner, is because they're desperate. They're realizing that Tesla won't partner with them. And so they need to show that they have these other relationships. That is my, I don't think that Tesla will partner with Uber in any way. But
What
okay,
about Herbert? What about a Tesla only network not partnered with Uber? A
you and I
Tesla
have
ride sharing
debated
network.
this so often, and I say
You
no.
change your
There's
mind?
no the other way around, dude. I'm more strict. There's not going to be a Tesla, what is it, supervised ride hail network that's
Boo hiss.
directly the same as Uber, competing directly with Uber without autonomy. That just doesn't make any sense. And I
What do
know
you mean
you and
without autonomy? I mean, it's going to be supervised FSD.
yeah, that's not autonomy, right? That's supervised FSD.
That is
That's
autonomy. That's like training wheels. What do you mean?
it's not Robotaxi.
Okay,
Okay.
Okay.
Herbert's got an opinion. He's entitled to his opinion.
Okay.
What is that saying?
Yeah, yeah,
Opinions are like whatever.
yeah,
Wait,
exactly. Everyone's got. Go ahead.
Jeff. So you think that supervised could partner with Uber, but do you think that eventually, when they have unsupervised FSD, why would they need to partner with anyone?
Okay, here's what I'm saying. I'm saying that Uber they've been walking a tightrope this entire period of time. They're building up all these partnerships on the other side of Tesla. They're trying to create some form of leverage. All I'm saying is I think the highest order bit is Tesla announces a supervised ride hailing network, and the only question in my mind is it, are they on their own, or are they going to leverage the Uber network and for to increase utilization, which would lower their price and to increase adoption? That's the only question in my mind. I'm not saying they need Uber, I'm not saying they have to do it, but in the beginning it is going to be a game of utilization. If you're super low utilization, your costs are going to be higher. But the only question in my mind, I think they're going to launch the Tesla network. It's going to be supervised in the beginning and then eventually go unsupervised. The only question in my mind is there a fleet partner the size of Uber or not?
I think there's three distinct things. And in a little bit, Herbert and Jeff are talking past each other. I think Jeff just worked to clear it up. I'm going to introduce one thing that hasn't been mentioned as much, and that is the screenshots that Omar shared today about if you are an Uber driver with a Tesla, how much better life is now for you because of the integration with Tesla. So for existing Uber drivers that drive Teslas, that's part of the Uber relationship. And I expect that to continue for as long as ride hailing is around with the driver. So that's one area. And I think it's smart for Uber to go down this path because Uber has a lot of other things like Uber Eats and other areas that even if Robotaxi takes off, those other things can still be really beneficial and they can complement one another. Other people's Robotaxis along with Uber Eats or Uber whatever. So I want to acknowledge that and say, hey, okay, that's one line. the second line that Herbert is really strong on is that once Robotaxi is actually out there and live, that they're not going to need or partner with anyone else. We just don't know. And I don't even know that Tesla knows yet. As various product owners on the teams, I don't think we have enough information nor enough data yet to know. So I respect very much Herbert's opinion, and I know there's a strong likelihood that he's right with Robotaxi, but we are a good ways away from the Robotaxi milestone. We need to get to FSD unsupervised first before we can get to Robotaxi and the Robotaxi legislation.
Yeah. We debated this at length in a previous debate, and I know that Omar also agrees with everybody here except me, that I just do not see Tesla going to do a supervised FSD network that's competing directly with Uber when they don't have a cost advantage. And it doesn't make sense that Tesla's going to have a Tesla network, but there's going to be humans in there with you. But okay, we've already debated this last meeting, so we don't have to, rehash this as well.
I always thought you came to your senses.
Not yet. No, not yet. Maybe next time. I don't think so, dude.
It's okay, Herbert. You have a valid point.
I've not come to my senses. So Omar, sorry. There's hands up. Okay, who wants to go first? Xander, go first.
I'll actually want to hear what Sat and Wiggle have to say, and then I'll keep my point.
Okay.
Yeah, my devil's advocate aspect of the Robotaxi is not the technology, but how fast can they get the regulation past the cities and states and so forth in terms of it needs for the permission of the Robotaxi and how that regulation is going to be written and passed. That's more of my concern. So I think depending on that and how fast that collaboration goes or doesn't go, I think that also affects if it's materially impactful or not.
And to clarify, what they did in China is what I think they'll do here, which is you do need to start with a human supervised, a human sitting in front of the car, but it'll be a pilot done in a city or a small location, not globally. All Tesla owners can now, you can now order a Tesla guy coming into you with a supervised Robotaxi. That's just not going to happen. But they'll do it just like they did in China, where first you have to have humans, and then once you pass certain criteria, then it'll be remote controlled, and then eventually you don't need to do that. That's just to get past through the regulations in a pilot.
Mortimer, I'll bet you $1 that it does.
What? Who's Mortimer?
Oh, that's a Trading Spaces, or no, what's the movie? I forget. But anyway, Wiggle.
Hey, thanks. Also, one of the potential scenarios could be for them to demo such pilot project in the area that they have complete control over, such as Las Vegas Loop, because it is demoable. It's prototypical, but it is functional, and it could actually be without a driver in it. They could polish it, and it could be fully operational in that specific area, and it could serve as a good demonstration of a limited capability with potential enhancements.
Yeah, I think that's a great point, and that's how personally I see the launch of it happening. Is the first place that we'll see driverless is going to be in a controlled environment, but the first way we see the Robotaxi network, if I had to speculate and guess, it would be with supervised FSD, and then you prove it to regulators that we have a safety net. But here you go. Look at the interventions. Here's the data. We are moving towards you don't even need a safety net. We have teleoperators that can intervene when the super 0.001 case happens. But the point I wanted to make was that this uncertainty going into the event is precisely why you might have a reaction of by the rumor and then by the news, because if you don't know what to expect and then you have something that's launched where the uncertainty is removed, Wall Street wants to see the figures. Wall Street wants to see, prove it to me. And they're fine with missing the beginning of this launch. They don't care whether they get in at 250 or 275 or whatever, or 300 or 225. The point is, we've seen the market have these crazy moves down where like the move from 180 to 270, that's not real, that's not retail. So there are funds and there's bets being made in this direction, and as we get certainty, it is possible. But look, long-term investors don't really care about these short-term fluctuations. Ultimately, we're looking for that grand prize, not these little I saved $20 on the stock purchase. Omar, welcome.
Yeah. Omar, welcome. We covered quite a bit of ground so far, but with this event coming up, what's the chances that they can actually surprise? Well, what's the chances that they might actually underwhelm? I know you've watched a lot of Apple events and Steve Jobs situations. This particular event is an important one for Tesla. They're certainly framing it as such. What's the chances they can go either of these ways?
Well, this is the most important new product unveil for Tesla since the Model 3. And they're going to not only show off the Cybercab, but maybe some of the other vehicles they're working on as well. They have these new models, they say, that are going to start production in 2025. So it's going to be an incredible night to see Tesla's vision, the design team's vision of what a car without steering wheels and manual controls looks like. But I'm certain that everybody is going to be disappointed because they'll say, well, Elon was supposed to ride in on a unicorn and the network was supposed to launch today. They were supposed to lift up a curtain and all our cars were going to turn into robotaxis and, so on and so forth. So people will always set their expectations high. Bears will always say it was a disaster. The people who use this product know that autonomy is here, and no company has a better chance of scaling to produce millions of driverless cars than Tesla. I'm on FSD right now, and you guys wouldn't believe the stuff this latest version is doing. It just had to get onto the freeway and moved across an entire 5 lanes of traffic. It was wild. I have a video.
That's not single stack though, right? That's not single stack yet, right?
Well, it was on the city streets.
Okay. Well, interesting, exciting. That you're right. Everything you said sounds right. And then JP, did you want to jump in?
Hey guys. Yeah, I think everyone's kind of like around the goalpost. All the events historically have been overhyped and, to be fair, under-delivered towards expectations. I think that what's most likely is partnership announced or partnership plan with Didi and Uber announced, right? Uber doesn't really exist in China. China's obviously gonna be important for this market. Tesla has a history of doing non-standard partnerships, especially in China. So I think that it would make sense that if they're going down the road with Uber, they're going to go down the same road with Didi. And I think the actual catalyst is kind of what Omar just said. I think we're going to see the $25,000 car, which is going to be the same platform as the the Cybercab or Robotaxi, whatever you want to call it. I think we'll get the new Model Y prototype potentially unveil as like the oh wait one more thing moment. And then I think that there's a lot of smoke around this like 7 or 8 passenger commuter van for the China market, based on the new Model Y platform. And I wouldn't be shocked if we see that too, because I mean, Elon has been pretty good. We haven't had that many products. I mean, the Cybertruck is really revolutionary, but the Rivian, R2 and R3 and R3X, reveal went really well, very well received. And, that was very much in the Apple, historical kind of product display moment. And they kind of, really did get a lot of spotlight and positive attention. I can see Elon wanting to have one of these surprise moments for Tesla because it's not that they're not making great products. There really hasn't been as much positive buzz about the products being great, and I think this is going to be an event to really highlight both the services end of it as well as the hardware. So I think it's going to be a positive catalyst into year end for the new products and the new services.
Well, thank you so much, JP. A few things I didn't agree with. Go ahead, Omar.
Yeah, one thing I just want to clarify is there is no Uber partnership, okay? Uber is sending the address to your car and pulling the status of your battery using the Tesla API that everybody has access to, including me. If Uber has a partnership with Tesla, then Tesla also did a partnership with me on my crappy little website. So, I think they're kind of anticipating Tesla's moves here, that they might launch something that's much better integrated in Tesla. They want to make sure their service is well integrated into Tesla as well. And honestly, Uber has done a great job with EVs. They're absolutely a formidable competitor. And, they've been great advocates of EVs and features like this where you can integrate it with your Tesla's account. This is going to be the easiest job in the world. If you're an Uber driver, you just have to sit there and FSD does the entire job, the entire pickup and drop off. All you had to do was enter the address. And now you don't even have to enter the address. All you have to do is just sit there and Uber will send the address to your car and your car will automatically drive there. It's really cool and I can't wait to try it out and make a video.
Yeah, Omar, sorry, and I don't mean to interrupt, and Herbert, I know you want to leave soon, but I think you're 100% correct. The only reason why I think that there's potentially a partnership is Uber changed its pricing model with its drivers relatively recently, where before the prices used to be dynamic based on demand. Now they're actually adjusting the consumer price, but also the driver's price. And it's quote unquote in an algorithm, but they're able to essentially give certain drivers less money based on some proprietary criteria that they have. Whereas before, drivers, per vehicle used to get paid on a standard time and distance grid. And this essentially gives Uber and Lyft and all rideshare companies the ability to essentially say, hey, if it's an autonomous rideshare service and it's not a driver who's actually having to do anything, we're going to give that user less revenue than a traditional driver. So I think that you could be right; it could be a competitor, but it seems like some of the dots are aligned for potential partnership based on how the actual commission schedules are being changed to allow for kind of dynamic partnerships. And to be fair, it opens up. Uber would get what, 4-5 million, 4-ish million new cars potentially on their platform globally. Didi gets, about 2 million if there was a partnership. And that's the hardest part of those businesses is getting new drivers on the platform.
There's no partnership. There's no need to do a partnership. Uber has tons of Tesla vehicles on their network. So they're
That's
obviously
that's what
going to
I
be competitors. Now, Uber's free to use the Tesla API. They've also given incentives to their customers to buy Teslas. That's awesome. Uber's great. But ultimately, Tesla and Uber are going to be competitors.
Okay, one last topic is more and more people are finding these shots of these Tesla vehicles that's been modified by Tesla to move the vision cameras in different locations, and that apparently you're seeing more and more of those cars coming out, and so that could be somebody sending to me notes saying that they think that that is the compact car, that could be the compact car, more likely than let's say the Robotaxi, but. Anybody here want to take a guess on why we're seeing more and more of those vehicles? Because it looks very different locations than a modified Model 3 or modified Model Y.
Well, one month from today, people in this audience, hopefully you guys have applied for and they obviously need to validate it. But imagine if they just had the actual cybercab driving around validating. It would be all over the internet. So that's why they have this Model 3 with the cybercab sensor suite added on in a way that makes it able to emulate what a cybercab would see.
Right. So that's what I was saying as well, Omar, that I think could be the cybercab, because they need to be testing it, because they're going to do a live demo at the Hollywood Warner Brothers studio. It's just another way to test how the cameras are working. But people are saying, nope, it's not going to be the cybercab, because that's not going to be out for a year and a half. And there's no way that is any of the other cars. So it's like, okay, no, it's got to be one of the cars. Anybody else want to comment on that before we wrap it up? Okay. Well, that's it for today. Thank you, guys. We do this every week. Appreciate all the panel members. Please follow Cyberbulls, and thank you, all of you. Honestly, very, very appreciative of you guys joining us on a regular basis. It means a lot to all of us. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you guys next week. I've created a website that is the most comprehensive resource for the Tesla investor. Please check it out. Simply go to my website at herbertong.com.